Hey, Miss Robin, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can. It's good to see you. Welcome to our Thursday morning virtual coffee chat. I'm glad to see you. Well, I
Well,
can't.
I'm glad to see you, but I've been busy.
Well, I understand that. I hope you've caught a few of the replays. Did you see last week's chat in the replay?
No, but I will. I'll go back and watch them. But we've had a lot of things going on at pharmacy and
Okay.
training going on and stuff like that. So, you always kind of put your business first, and then you go do what you want to.
Well, that's true. Sometimes we have to do that. Sometimes we shouldn't. But in January, you got to kick off the year right, and there's things you got to get in place. So I understand that. It's all
We had a lot of changes. We had a new party program come out,
awesome.
and then we had a new incentives for new BIs to come
Wow.
out. And then they came out, they already reward the ones that's higher up in sales.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now they got a thing for like if you 9% that they will recognize you.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it's the higher ones, and that's good because people need to be recognized.
Yes, they do. Yep, that's where, being a leader and working with your team comes from, and why it's so important because the company can only do so much, and for every
Yeah, that's true. I always recognize the ones that do real good in my team.
right. And sometimes we have to, even honor the littlest when we're working with our teams, sometimes when you know somebody that's struggling, but they do just a little something. Maybe they make an extra, they go 10%. Sometimes we have to honor even the smallest efforts by people that maybe aren't our biggest contributors to our team. But the thing is they probably need it the most because they're struggling so much just to try to keep their head above water.
True, true. But I always tell them, look, when I first started, I said, I didn't start hitting the big uh, numbers right away.
Right.
I said, it took me 6 months to get my first customer. For 6 months, I was my best customer.
Right. I think that happens for years for a lot of people. They're their best customer.
And stuff. And I said, just keep going, doing the best you can,
Mhm.
learn as much as you can, and don't give up.
That's it. Exactly. I know that you are helping them in all the different ways that you can, and upping our own skills and improving what we do and learning new ways to get customers ourselves is ways that when we find something that works that maybe the company hasn't said or that we can pass on and saying, hey, I've been doing this the last few weeks and this has really helped me, can
Right?
sometimes help a girl
Appreciate.
say, oh, I didn't think of that.
Right.
So it's, coming up with ideas, and sometimes it's, I think a couple of the people that put in the chat for the meeting that they wanted us to talk about procrastination. So how to get your team members from procrastinating, or even ourselves from procrastinating. And I was hoping that more people. I was waiting to see. Oops, camera. I was waiting to see if more people were going to jump in before I start on this on this topic, what are some of the ways that you address procrastination?
Well, I just when they are doing that, I just asked them, "Is there something that you need help with that I can help you with? Do you have some questions?"
Mm-hmm.
I ask them. I
Right.
can ask them.
So
What do
does that help? Do you find that they answer you, that they actually open up and offer, ask you questions? Have you found that that's effective?
some of them do the ones that really are wanting to get ahead do ask questions.
Right. Whoops. Trying to get my camera right. I bumped it. Well, that's good. Have you ever thought of what else you can do to try to help get them to quit procrastinating?
No, to be honest with you, I have not. Because I'm just not when I'm the type of person, if I make up my mind that I want to do something, I'm gonna do it.
Yes.
So
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to think about that. The only thing I procrastinate against is cleaning the house.
I get it. You're a lot like me. I don't really need anybody else's I won't say approval, but when I make my own goals and I go after it. I don't wait for nobody else. You either come along and we do it together, or I'll leave you behind type
Ah,
type of thing. So, but the thing about team members and procrastination is that procrastination really depends on what it is that they're putting off, because you and me with business, we go for it, but there might be something else in another part of our life that we procrastinate on. I know I'm a big procrastinator on cleaning my house. I absolutely do not like to clean my house. And if I get an opportunity to go do anything else besides clean my house, I do. Is there anything that you procrastinate on? Because we all have areas. It's just what is.
cleaning house. That is my. But the thing is, for days on days, sometimes there's nobody here but me, then the two dogs. The dogs don't care if I clean the house or not. Oh, they
You,
care.
you don't like to clean the house either. Okay.
I am not, but see, I've been cleaning the house and see, my mom and daddy separated when I was young, so I've been cleaning the house since I was about 13 years old.
Right.
Oh, so I don't care. And another thing I hate is I hate washing dishes. That's
Okay.
the reason I got a dishwasher.
That's it. That's it. So just so that I try to use these chats, to help us with our
Yeah.
leadership and with our skills and things, that since we are talking about procrastination, I thought I looked up, because I thought, well, yeah, this is a good topic. Let's dive into this and see if we can, talk about some solutions. The thing is, you have to understand what some of the root causes of procrastination might be. Because depending on where it is in your life or what area, whether it's business, whether it's home, whether it's relationships, whether it's school, it just really depends on what it is. You have to look at what might be the root cause of the procrastination. Now, according to Google, because I love Google, you Google anything, you can Google for everything and find out something.
Yes.
Okay, so according to Google, I'm going to read this. Some of the most common reasons for procrastination include perfectionism, that you feel like you got to have it perfect before you can do anything. The fear of failure, that if you do something, you might succeed or you might fail. So some of it could be the fear of failure, the fear of criticism. So many of us, if we don't do it the way that we were taught or whatever, we're afraid somebody's going to look at us and say, oh, you didn't do that right. The avoidance. Let's see, it says low self-esteem. When you don't really feel worthy within yourself or you feel good about yourself, you can put certain things off and procrastinate about them because you just don't feel that it's going to do any good. You don't feel the worth within yourself to do that. A tendency for self-defeat. Self-sabotage. We procrastinate because, well, it's not going to work anyway. Depression. No, and a lot of people, depression is its own health, mental health. They're even now finding that depression can be chemically caused. So
Yes.
you have
See,
chemical.
I've got a chemical imbalance.
Right, and that causes depression. So if you're not careful with monitoring when you're depressed, what may have caused it, is it emotional? Is it what you're eating? Some people get depression when it's the winter time because of the lack of sunshine. So there's a lot.
Christmas depresses me. Christmas and holidays depress me. But see, my daddy's dead and my stepdaddy and stuff like that. But I just try to go on.
Right. But that's that's a decision within you of how you think about their loss. So it's not really Christmas and the holidays, it's how you are internalizing them not being there for it. Well,
right.
Somebody else joining us. Let's see who's here. Hi, Deb.
Yeah.
Hello, Miss Deb. How you doing?
Hey, good.
Okay, well, we're talking about procrastination. So I was reading, you might have to go back and watch the first part of the chat just to catch up a little, because I'm not going to start over, but
Nope, you're fine.
I was reading the common reasons for procrastination, and we're down to the last couple with trouble focusing, that some people just have trouble focusing. Whoops. Well, now, oh, there it is. Some people are ADHD, and it's just, you get shiny object syndrome. You go start doing this, and then all of a sudden, oh, that's over there, and that's over there. And you didn't really need to procrastinate, but it just happens, right?
For sure.
Let's see, decision fatigue sometimes, and I know I personally have had this decision fatigue. My second husband made me make all the decisions. It's like, whatever you want, you decide, whatever, because that way he didn't ever have to be wrong. If he didn't like it or it didn't turn out right, well, that was your decision. And sometimes after a few years, you don't want to make any decisions at all.
Yeah. I got a husband like that.
And
Drives you crazy.
that's why he's an ex-husband. Okay. I don't believe in living miserably, and I'm not promoting, okay, people, I'm not promoting getting divorced, but I believe in self-empowerment. And when you're not in a relationship that is empowering you, and you do not address that, or you don't correct it, or have discussions about it, a lot of what we find as women of not being empowered or feeling that we are, what's the word I'm looking for? Encouraged in anything, because we don't ask for it. We actually don't, ask for, okay. We just they're so used to taking, men are taught to take control. Women aren't taught to take control. Women are taught to do what they're told. And so that is part of my mission, and what I'm trying to, especially with business owners, the three of you all run businesses. We as women are not taught to think as a business. We're not taught to take charge. We're not taught to be assertive. We're not taught that we can have business, family, and self-worth. So to have any of that, you have to be proactive. You have to start deciding that you want those things. What y'all think? Am I on this soapbox opera by myself?
No, you gotta believe in yourself and stand up for yourself.
But
Is that what I was hearing?
Well, I don't know that it's just stand up for yourself. I think it's being assertive and having communication about where things are going in your marriage, in your life, in your career. I think it's some people think when you stand up for yourself, it's saying, I won't do this anymore. But I think if your definition of standing up for yourself is saying, how can it be a win-win?
Yep.
Is more my definition of standing up for myself.
Okay. Okay.
Because in society, okay, it's all about perception and your belief in it, right?
Mhm.
When you say stand up for yourself, it sounds like it's an argumentative thing. Or is that just me? What do you think? Is it just me that thinks that statement sounds like we want to be argumentative?
No,
Well, and-
not me.
Go ahead, Robin.
I said not to me.
Okay, so what is your definition of standing up for yourself?
It's you know, like in the case where he wants me to make all the decisions, I have to stand up and say, hey, this is a relationship. You have to do your part too. To let him know I'm not gonna do it.
Okay.
And most of the time he'll listen, but he forgets very easily, and he has to be reminded a lot.
Right.
That this is a group effort. This isn't just a you and a me. You know,
Right.
we got to work together, and he's getting better, but he, like I said, he slips off a lot.
So what is your all's process for making a decision? Do you sit down and write the pros and cons? Do you sit there and decide what its effect will be for each of you? How do you compromise on a decision?
Mine would normally be to write it down so that we can see it. I'm a visual person. He thinks if he tells me, I should just remember it, or I don't remember, so I have to write it down. But we do discuss it, and mentally, even if I don't have the pen and paper out, I'm writing it inside. And then when he's gone, I write it down.
Right.
And sometimes it takes a while. Like right now, we're looking for a house, and I can't get out of him what he wants for a house. Why are you looking for a house?
Right.
And it's because we have health problems and we can't stay living here doing stairs.
Okay.
Well, there's got to be more than just that.
Okay.
I mean, to me anyway.
Okay.
So that's his
what
answer.
So what could be some of the questions you could ask around the house? Okay, the stairs is the thing. Do you want to have, do you want to have some yard with it? Do you want to be doing yard work? Do you want to have a view? Do you want it close to our children?
Yep. And those are things I ask. To me, I don't want to do yard work. I don't want to mow. I don't want to shovel. He thinks he's never going to get old, so he thinks it's okay to do that stuff.
He didn't ever think he could not do the stairs either, did he?
No, he didn't. That's just come on now the last couple of years. So like I said, sometimes you got to coax him to get him to think outside the box.
Is it's all about questions, isn't it?
Yep. But I mean, that is one thing we are able to discuss it without getting into the, knockdown argument.
Right.
So at least we've got that. And usually if I really need his undivided attention to make a decision, I suggest that we go somewhere for whatever reason. he goes along with it because I know when I get him in the car, he has to listen to me. He can't do anything else.
Exactly. You
And
know,
I haven't told him that that's my secret weapon, is to get in the car and go driving.
that's it. Well, we do what we have to do to have the conversation. As long as you know how to have it, you know how to address it so that you are feeling supported and not being the sole decision person. And you will
Yeah.
both coming up with what you want out of the solution. The thing is making a decision is, what is the solution? What is it you want at the end? What do you want to have? And then work backwards
Mhm.
sometimes.
Yep.
Now, going to procrastination, wouldn't the same thing be the same for your team members? Because a lot of team members procrastinate because they don't know or don't know how to ask the questions. Because a lot of things with our business and stuff is that, and I found this with the programs that I've taken for learning social media and learning all the stuff. They expect you or assume that you know some things.
Right.
And what I found out is that I didn't know enough, and I didn't know enough of the basics, and they assumed, or they talked minimally about the standard stuff, or the stuff that they assumed we knew or I knew, and went right on talking about stuff, and I'm feeling lost because to me they're starting at C and I didn't know how to get A and B done.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So when you're expected and everybody's talking about C and you don't know A and B, oh, I'll look at that next week.
Oh, it's a new way to look at it.
I mean, that's what I have found
Yep.
in just my own learning, because there's a big gap. And for me, most of it was technology. You know, I'm taking
Mhm.
on social media, and I grew up before MySpace.
Oh, yeah.
They're talking about computers and things that people already know how to do stuff on.
Mhm.
And I'm missing A and B because I got lost in how to get A and B done, and they're already C, D, and E. And I'm still pondering how to set up A and B because I can't get to C without A and B.
So a question then for Robin and you and anybody else that's listening. I'm trying to work with my team this year. That's my main goal, to get some interaction with them and some feedback from them.
Okay.
And I wanted to start, well, in January, and I haven't done it, procrastination. So hopefully in February, we're going to start doing a live.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, because I want them there. I can't even get them to get like $100 in orders in a whole month.
Okay.
And I'm not sure why.
Okay.
And when I ask the question, it's like, well, we can't do what you do. But I've been in it 12 years. Some of them have only been in it a few months or a year
Okay.
or two. So they're not going to be able to do what I'm doing. So in my training in the past, have I been assuming they know that they have to do the basics? And when I start this year, basically start off as I'm a new rep again and
And maybe that
doing it that way? I
all
don't
you
know.
can do is try. I'm just saying what I felt like when I was trying to do an education, but I was trying to learn because I'm switching careers from being networking and being out. You know, I'm looking at my next 30 years. Okay.
Okay.
And it's all in what you're trying to accomplish too, Deb. I was determined 3 years ago, because I started this journey right before COVID. I was determined I'm going to learn and have and make money online through the internet. You know, I thought I could do that in a year. I thought I could learn it. Okay, not,
Yeah.
but I didn't give up. I just slowed my roll down and said, okay, I got to go back in here and learn A and B because C is a little too high for me to start at, and I gotta work. So I backed up and I started, you know, pulling in things and helping myself. But I want to, because like me and Robin were talking earlier, when we make up our mind to do something, we just freaking do it.
Okay.
We're not, you know, but the thing is as we were also discussing, that's when it comes to business. But it depends on what part of life you're talking about with somebody, whether procrastination is a problem or not. Because we both decided we didn't like housework. And if we could get out of doing it, we did. So, but we're talking about business and team. The biggest thing you need to understand about your team is, what do they want? You can't motivate somebody if all they want is their own products at a discount.
Mhm.
What is it that they wanted? Talking about your first goals might help.
Okay.
You know, a lot of women, I mean, in the stuff that I am, because I'm all about continuing education. I'm always doing seminars. I'm always doing something. Right now, they're saying that people making money, there's been so much out there about making thousands of dollars and making the big and making the millionaire and making this. And they said, you know, people are tired of it. They're tired of the lie.
Okay. Yeah.
They're tired that they can make all this money and all they have to do is this one little thing.
Oh, no.
No. Okay. So what you have to back it down to is, you can make your cell phone bill. You can make your gas bill. You talk about what they can do.
Okay.
What would it, you know, when I was teaching Avon, I used to tell brand new girls, okay, how much money do you want to make? Oh, I want to make as much as I can. Okay, here's $5. Is that enough? Well, no. Okay, well, how much money do you want to make? And they still say, I don't know, as much as I can. I said, what bill would make a difference in your budget if you could pay for it with your business? You have to get them to define what their money requirement is. What is it? What kind of money can they make that would make them get off the couch or get
Mhm.
off and do something? So if you said, you know, in my first year, I found 6 customers, or I started doing this and this, and I made enough money to go to coffee. I made money to do this. I did a post, I want to say a month or so back, where I talked about my first year I paid for this. The second year I was able to pay for that. By my third and fourth year, I could make the car payment every month. By my fifth year, I was doing the car payment and my insurance payment. You have to break it down. It's not, as Robin has, you know, agreed with me. When you've been in it for a while, you're making, and Deb, you said it, I've been in this 12 years, I'm making this. But when I was first starting, I was working to pay this. And I worked at doing this, this, and this. And then I repeat. I would tell girls that for every customer, you know, that customer is only going to buy every two or three campaigns, you
Mhm.
know, that they're not going to buy every week. So just because you find one customer does not mean they're going to buy every time you give them a book, that they're going to buy some.
Yep.
Right.
Oh.
I used to sell Avon.
So the thing is if you need so much, if you need $100, how much Avon, Tupperware, paparazzi, how much sales does it take to make that money? Find it, how many customers would it take to make those sales?
Mhm.
Then you need to find enough customers, triple, quadruple that over time, so that as they rotate, you have a consistent amount of money. Because sales go up and sales go down. Different times of the year. What I've truly discovered, or I shouldn't say I discovered it, I listened to a mentor say, you know, you really don't make but a little tiny extra money during the holidays. It's just in your mind, you've blown it all up. But if you average it all out, you make 25% of your sales in your first quarter. You might make 35% of your sales in your second quarter. You go back down to 25% in your third quarter, and you make 40% in your fourth quarter. It all, you know what I'm saying? It all averages out over the year, but you're really not having this big number. It's what you do in serving people all year, week in and week out.
Yeah.
If you want consistent money, then you find a way to make it the DMOs, daily mode of operation, right?
Yeah.
So to motivate and get people to quit procrastinating, you have to find out what they want and remind them of their why. Because why do we ask them when we sign them up? What is your why? Are you doing it for the kids? No, you're not. Anybody that tells you I'm doing it for my kids, it's a lie. You know what they're doing it for? What they can do for their kids, what they can take them on, what they can buy them. It's what they can make them feel, because feelings is what motivates us.
Yep.
Not the money. So if you want them to show up, ask them, how does it make you feel to not be able to take your kids to the park or to this or whatever? You know, every girl's going to be different, but
Mhm.
do a post or you do an invite. We're going to talk about what happens if you don't do and change or pay these bills. Inflation's going up. See, right now you have the biggest incentive. It's all over the news about how inflation's going up. How are you going to deal with inflation if you don't do anything with your business? Or you can see, I don't like going in the negative. So I would probably say, let's come up, we're going to discuss ways to expand your business so that you don't get caught with inflation. Inflation's going to be here. Let's talk about how we can expand your business so that it doesn't cause you to suffer. The procrastination is because they don't have an answer. It's overwhelming. They don't have enough self-esteem to say it won't make any difference. No matter what I do, people say no. A lot of it's what goes on in here. You know, our self-talk. And the biggest thing you can do, Deb, I think, to help your people is talk about how you conquered the up here.
Okay.
Because they don't want to tell you that they think poorly of themselves or that they've done that. Because most people don't even connect that they do that. They just don't. Until you start pointing it out, until you start talking about it and saying, you know, I used to do this. See, I have found, and if you listen to enough mentors, you will hear, this is where I learned it from. They talk about what they've overcome first, because when you talk about what you've overcome, the issues that you had when you first started your business, then they feel like, oh, wow, she does know.
Okay.
She can relate. And it doesn't put you so high up here that they think, oh, I can never do that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I do know that one problem that we have now versus back when I started, technology.
Yep.
Because when they sign up now, they sign up on their own and they get put on your team.
Right.
And so you don't know their why. You don't know what enticed them to decide to do it then. So you really have to dig now to get them to talk to you, because people don't talk anymore.
No, they
They
don't.
just,
That's
technology has taken away the face-to-face talks.
right. So do you have a group just for your team?
Yes.
Do a chat like this. Trying to get time to talk to all the people in my group, or getting people to even interact, it's taking time. But people will go back and watch this replay. So how can I have an impact on helping the people who want to grow as leaders when they either time-wise can't come to this chat, or maybe they don't feel they have anything to offer in this chat?
Okay.
You
Now,
know,
do you get like comments on your replays, or where can I see like the replay, or don't people even, because I have the problem of people don't interact.
okay.
So then I still don't get a chance to
Well, I mean,
listen to them or talk to them.
people commenting is always going to be an issue, getting people
Okay.
to interact. What most of your mentors will tell you is that you have to create, and this is what I'm trying in my own group. I mean, I'm learning and growing just like, I'm trying to help you all. I didn't say that you come here and I could tell you how to do it all. I said,
Yeah.
we're going to grow in our leadership skills, because as we grow, as we talk about things, and if I can share things that I've learned, maybe I can, other people are bringing stuff that they've learned. We can come up with ideas that maybe somebody will have, that will, somebody will watch a replay and they go, oh, wow, I never thought of that.
Okay.
Because, no one person has all the answers. I don't have all the answers, but I'm willing to go on Google. I'm willing to go in my books. I'm every day, I'm trying to step it up in trying to learn how to expand myself to serve people better, to serve my team members, my family better, everybody. So what I can say is, in your group, I started this chat so that I could have a more regular way of interacting, engaging with those that wanted to show up. And in time of people watching the replays and seeing our discussions, more people will want to join us.
Okay.
Now, some people time-wise can't. Some people will watch the replays. Some people won't. But it's okay. See, Deb, the thing is I've decided when there's days that there was a couple of times nobody showed up. I'm like, okay. So I would sit here and talk about a subject or talk about something that I thought could help them. So I would say start a morning chat, start a power hour, start something that gives a time. And then I record all of the things. There was only one time that I recorded and I didn't lift it up because me and the girl got into a discussion that was a little bit more personal.
Mm.
So now I try not to make sure it doesn't go personal, because I want you all to have the replays, and I want us to have where we are learning and people can see that they're not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
That we can talk about the things that we mess up in or the things that we struggle with. Because until they know you struggled or that you have concerns, they think you have it all together.
Not the truth, but yes, they do.
And I was listening to something today. What was I listening? I'm doing the Success Summit this week. It's a 5-day, 12 hours a day. I put it down because I bought where I can go back and look at it, what I missed. But he said that even your biggest mentors, your Tony Robbins, your Forbes Riley, your Dean Gazis, your big people, your President Biden's, your big people, they all have days they get up in the morning and they say, oh, I don't want to do shit. Excuse my French, I'm sorry. I'm not feeling it today. Everybody has those moments. Everybody has times that they're saying, It's just not happening. And they say, but that's okay. I'm going to show up. Or they power through it, or then they don't. The thing is, you have to forgive yourself because you are human. You are not a machine and you're not perfect. But we as women beat ourselves freaking up for every little thing we didn't get done for the day. Doesn't matter that our kid came home, gave us a hug and says, I love you, mommy. That didn't matter because somehow there was a speck on there and somebody saw the speck and said, hey, you missed that. And so you're all upset. Oh my God.
Yeah.
When the biggest win is that your child came home and gave you a hug and says, I love you, mommy. That's the big win. That is the moments. But us women, we get stuck up here.
Yeah.
And we procrastinate because we get overwhelmed or we can't see, we can't break it. We haven't broke it down to make it manageable. So we put off even starting because it looks so freaking big. So my suggestion for teams would be break it down small and talk about where you started. Talk about your failures. Talk about your failures because they all feel like they're failing. If they haven't gotten anywhere near you, they feel like they will never, that it's too hard. And the easiest way to try to combat that is to talk about how hard it was for you.
Okay, that's a good theory.
All you can do is try it, Miss Deb.
Yeah.
When I first started this chat, I didn't have people sometimes. Now I have at least one or two showing up. It's a process, it's a journey, it's an adventure. And
I mean, not that I'm glad that you're doing it, but I'm also kind of glad to see that you don't have 40, 50 people the first day, because it does show me that it takes time also.
But you have to show up, you have to be regular. And I decided when nobody showed up, I was going to record it and I was going to talk about something because I have lots to share. I've got 65 years of learning and growing and conquering so much in my life.
Makes
And
sense.
so if nothing else, I will talk about my lessons. I will talk about, something that maybe is happening or maybe something that is challenging me, or I will talk about something. But this half an hour, well, now it's almost 45 minutes. I normally try to keep it to a half an hour, but when we get to talking, then it'll be an hour. But I want to be here for us to ask the question. Let's talk about what could be a solution.
Right.
And Miss Deb, this won't be the last time we have this conversation about procrastination. I can guarantee you.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Because when we get more people involved and we get more things, this replay is going to get buried. And what it took me the longest time to understand that it almost had to be beaten to my head. You talk about the same thing over and over and over again. You just try to sometimes find a different twist, a different angle, but you're talking about the same thing over and over again.
Okay.
Because that's what's important. Running your business, finding customers, you just find a different way to tackle the conversation every day or once a week or whatever. But it's all in, they're either going to find a way to do it or they're not. Having private messages with girls, especially when they put them in your team, trying to open them up, it just takes time.
Okay.
And why they sign up and they don't do anything, that's been the biggest conundrum for leaders forever.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm looking for me. I'm looking for the girl who's me. Aren't you?
I am. I am.
And sometimes I find a sister and sometimes I don't. But if you at least talk about your failures and your struggles, when you're talking to your team, but that they can be overcome. You don't talk about a struggle without saying in time, took me a couple months, took me 6 months. You give them the hope.
Okay. Makes sense.
And I'm here to help you through that. I'm here. Private message me, pick up the phone. Let's set a time up. Let's come up with a strategy. I found my biggest strength is let's make a plan. Let's see if it works. Let's make a plan and let's start doing it. If it doesn't work, we'll come up with another one.
Mm-hmm.
You got to start somewhere. So it's
Right.
telling them that you're there for them. You can't make anybody do anything. It's just not possible. Except when you put them in the car and you make them listen to you, right, Deb?
That's right. And they don't know that's why you're doing it.
But the same thing with your team members. They don't have to know why you're talking about your early struggles. But when you talk about your early struggles, then it's more relatable to them because they realize that nothing changes. Technology can change, society can change, but the struggles never change.
Okay.
And most of it, Deb, would you say that most of your struggles were up here or in the physically doing it?
Both. It was in my head that I wasn't good enough to get to the place that I thought I could be. And I had to go out of my comfort zone, and I wasn't ready to go out of my comfort zone.
Okay.
And then a switch went off, and I thought, what am I going to lose if I don't? I'm going to stay where I'm at.
Okay. What made this
So frustration.
about what?
I wasn't making progress.
In what?
And I just wanted to quit and get a job that I was making the money. However, I didn't want to be back in having somebody telling me what to do.
Okay. So the
So my
frustration
inner
was,
drive, I think.
see, you have to think out this whole conversation before you have it. The frustration was you finally got frustrated enough that you weren't making the money.
Yeah.
You have to say that because you didn't just say that, you just got frustrated. Okay, about what? I was fussed. I finally decided I didn't want to go back to the work and have somebody tell me what to do. So I better figure out how to make this money from this business, or I was going to have to go to work jumping through somebody else's hoops.
Yep.
Describe what you did not want, because guaranteed they're either in it or they don't want the same thing. And it makes them feel like, oh my God, she can understand. It might make her pick up the phone and say, hey, always end your meeting or call or Zoom or whatever with, if you're feeling this way, if you have questions, please call me. Please pick up the phone. And this is what I can say here. We're going to close this Zoom before it gets over an hour, because I value your time and I value everybody's that's shown up and that watches the replay. So if you're watching the replay, put up hashtag replay in the bottom so we know you watched it. And if you have a question, if there's something you want us to discuss, put a question in the comment box, send a message, or when we post the next meeting, put it in the comments there. Let me know what you'd like to talk about, because the only way we can solve things is by talking about them. Let's look it up. Let's Google it. Let's have a conversation about it, because no one has all the answers, and we can all grow and learn, and we can all have the teams that are motivated, right?
Yeah.
But we have to believe, and we have to take the initiative to improve ourselves. Because if our teams aren't improving, then it's something that we need to look at within ourselves. What can we learn? What can we offer? What can we do? And it's try this, try that. It's throw it out there. But if you don't try, what are you doing?
Really? Yep.
You're procrastinating.
Yep.
Couldn't help myself. I'm sorry, guys. All
Bye.
right.
All right. See ya.
Thank you all guys for coming. I appreciate you all. We'll see you next Thursday morning.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.